Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. So AEW Double or Nothing is in the bag. It's in the bag? Is that what it is? In the books. Double or Nothing is in the books, and it's Wrestle Juice, which means I take a look at your hot takes so we can talk about the show here. If you want my star ratings for all the matches, I got that over at the Friendo Club Wrestling channel. If you want the full podcast length review, you can check that out right now over at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. But this is hot takes time. Let's see what you guys have to say. First up, Timothy Whalen says MJF's new tattoo is worse than Cody's neck tattoo. I'm looking at I'm looking at this thing now, man. There's no good way to put this. This is ugly as shit. The only thing it's missing is like a misspelling of yourself or something like that. So let's talk about that. MJF came back and he revealed that he's with AEW. I guess the bidding war is done. They never really explored that at all. According to the reports, he signed back in like 2022. He signed an extension, which a lot of people figured he did, but he's back now to say, hey, I did that. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the tattoo right now. And then he lifted up his pant leg to show some skin and to show everybody they got this cheesy AEW bet on yourself tattoo. Man, oh man. Look, here's my prediction. By 2029, this tattoo will have been covered up. I'm sorry, man. This is ugly as shit. I don't know who would ever decide on this as the tattoo to get to declare that you're all elite for the foreseeable future. But good Lord, this thing is ugly as shit. Like the circle of the chip's not even like an actual circle. It's all kind of wonky. Like this looks like a do-it-yourself tattoo. It says bet on yourself. It should say do-it-yourself. But anyways, hey, good for him. He's back. I was excited that MJF came back. He came back in the Triple H jacket and everything. So that's cool. And I don't know if they're going to go with the Adam Cole MJF rivalry again. It seems like MJF is sort of done with him. He gave him a brain buster and said, get out of here. So I guess Adam Cole is still going to continue to rehab. And then when he comes back, who knows if they're going to revisit it. I kind of feel like they just need to move on. I feel like that you guys try to do the devil thing. You did the devil thing, and then everybody got injured. And that was a long time ago, or at least it feels like a long time ago. Really, it was only about 6 months ago. But 5 months ago. But yeah, I kind of feel like you just got to move on, right? David Mitchell Baker says, why oh why does MJF use space in his return promo to reference Vince McMahon? It's 2024. AEW needs to stop taking shots at and making references to WWE. Otherwise, they'll always be dismissed as the unserious little teenagers of wrestling. I don't necessarily know that, or I don't necessarily think that making references to WWE is like a direct correlation to, oh, they're the minor leagues. That being said, his referencing Vince McMahon drew kind of a larger gasp than I think the context of what he's saying really warranted. Like saying the words Vince McMahon these days is kind of a taboo thing, and it's going to get you a gasp no matter what the context is. He was just saying, I don't need somebody else handling my creative. I'm here in AEW where I get to sort of chart my own path. I think that's sort of what he meant anyways. I thought the promo was effective. I thought, yeah, he could probably have done without. Maybe this will be it. Maybe now that he is officially signed with AEW, and this was a declarative statement that I'm not going to WWE, then he can stop mentioning WWE. But it's kind of one of the things he keeps in his arsenal, in his repertoire. But I kind of feel like at this point, yeah, establish yourself. Work on yourself. Be your own brand. Be your own man, right? And I feel like AEW definitely needs to go in that direction, but it's not like they reference WWE all that often. But every time somebody does in AEW, they got to make a big stink about it. The people got to make a big stink about it. Overall, I thought the promo was really solid, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do with MJF going forward, what his first feud is going to be now that he's back. Tired Bonus Dad says, I'd be overjoyed to not have to watch another Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede match for a few years. And James Miller says, if you light a guy on fire during a match, he shouldn't be able to continue the match. That is actually a good point. I feel like with Jack Perry having been lit on fire last night, which I honestly thought was a terrific spot, I feel like he probably shouldn't have been able to participate in the remainder of the match. He's really booked strong, given that he was able to recover from a fire spot because, man, he got lit on fire. I know it was like, from the waist down and everything, but man, it was a great visual. It was an awesome visual. And then the Young Bucks put him out. I thought the whole thing was actually pretty well done. Anarchy in the Arena, I'll be honest, man. I thought that it was a good way to close the show. I do think that Swerve versus Christian probably should have main evented, but Anarchy in the Arena was a lot of fun. It was about 30 minutes long, and I really didn't feel it. It actually went by, in my opinion, kind of a breeze. I thought there was enough goofiness there to justify it. So I'll be honest with you, Tired Bonus Dad, I'm looking forward to the next Anarchy in the Arena. I'm looking forward to the next Stadium Stampede. These things, they always end up being fun, whether it's Eddie Kingston with the gas can from last year, a couple of years ago, to this year actually setting a guy on fire. I hope that they don't think they need to keep on upping the ante, though. Just maybe think creatively, think different. Don't have to put an entire guy on fire from the head to toe. Don't do that. In fact, probably just this is your good. You're good on fire spots. Don't need to do fire again. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. Benjamin Blankenship says, my hot take is that this show was not nearly as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be, and it was simply a lot of wrestling on one weekend because of the WWE PLE the day before. This was a good pay-per-view that left a lot of options for storylines moving forward. Doesn't mean AEW is going to follow through, but still. I thought that there were quite a few story beats. I thought there was quite a few blow-offs, and I think that's good. I do think that there was a chunk in the middle of the show, and I mentioned this on the review. I thought that the Mox Takeshita match was too long. I thought Orange Cassidy versus Trent didn't really bring a whole lot new to their story. I thought there was kind of a whole... I wasn't a huge fan of the Malachi Black Cope match. I thought that they both put forward an effort, That being said, I don't know. Copeland in general doesn't really do it for me, but I can appreciate the effort. I like that Gangrel came back. I feel like House of Black were kind of booked a little bit like bumbling fools. All in all, I don't think that it was AEW's strongest pay-per-view they've had this year or even over the past, handful of them. I think that by and large, the last couple pay-per-views for AEW, I think have been really strong. And it's not even necessarily that it went 4.5 hours. It was because you could put on a really good pay-per-view in 4 hours. It's just the pacing of the matches, the length of the matches, and what they're doing in the matches that really, really matter when you're booking a 4-hour show for $50. And I kind of feel like there was a big chunk of show this time around. It was 3 or 4 matches in a row, the Jericho FTW rules match, that just either felt a bit redundant or didn't need to be on pay-per-view or some combination of them. And I feel like this pay-per-view suffered from that. MB1B says Mercedes will be the Ronda Rousey of AEW. Big name to make the company actually care about the women. Get a few headlining shows, but someone who the fans grow to love will overtake her and she'll coast for a few years. I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. I'm not sure what kind of deal she has with AEW. She's their TBS champion now, so you got to figure she's going to be defending that title at least a couple times on TV in between their pay-per-views. The next pay-per-view coming up is Forbidden Door. Maybe they'll do a Stardom match against Mercedes Moné, or maybe we'll have to wait until Wembley for their next major pay-per-view, which is coming up in not till August. I mean, I think it's late August too. So yeah, man, I don't know how the Mercedes Moné thing is going to shake out. I really liked the match last night. I really think that Mercedes Moné is a terrific wrestler. Willow's a really great wrestler. My biggest concern right now is Willow going to get lost in the shuffle? We've seen this happen before. If you're a woman in AEW and you don't have a title, you can pretty easily get lost in the shuffle if you're not contending for a title either. Willow, I think, has all the ingredients to be something pretty big, whether it's in AEW or in WWE. I don't know what her deal's like in AEW, but I do think that she had most of the crowd on her side, even though Mercedes Moné coming in was a bigger name and a bigger deal. I think they've successfully built Willow up into becoming a star. They need to follow up with it, though. She needs to find a way to get her hands either back on that title or be the one to dethrone Toni Storm. I know a lot of people think that's going to be Mariah May, and that makes a lot of sense, but maybe it's not. Maybe it should be Willow. I don't know. But I do think that they eventually need to circle back around to Willow. I don't know how long Mercedes' deal is with AEW. So maybe, let's say it's only a year. I don't know what the reporting is. Maybe the reporting is different. But maybe, let's say it's only a year. Maybe within about 6 months or so, they rebuild Willow back up and they get her that title back off of Mercedes clean. I know Mercedes is a big deal. I get that. But I kind of feel like Willow already beat her in New Japan. And then they come back here and they do this where Mercedes basically beats Willow clean, even though I know Willow had the pin and they did the distraction thing. But there was enough match left over. I think Willow probably should have got that win. I think that right now she's hotter than Mercedes. But hopefully we get a couple more matches out of it because they do have really good chemistry. Orlando Wright says if Takeshita wasn't going to beat Moxley, this match shouldn't have happened. Yeah, I agree with that, man. Look, if it's true that there's like backstage politics at play here with New Japan not wanting a former DDT pro guy to beat Jon Moxley, or if they just don't want Jon Moxley to get beat, he's got a title match around the corner. I get it. He's their champion. I don't know why you do this match. I don't know why you do this match as an eliminator. I don't know why. It's the politics of the IWGP Championship, New Japan and AEW. I just think that they're too weird to be booking this stuff without that being like a thing. On top of that, they took 17 minutes of our time to tell one story. That's Takeshita wrecking Jon Moxley's arm, and then Mox just out of nowhere hits a stomp and a paradigm shift. I don't know. This match didn't do it for me. I think Takeshita's one of those guys who you can build up through big wins to be a challenger to Swerve, because he should be that. But you're not going to get there with a bunch of losses. He needs some big signature wins, and there's not a lot of big names who don't have titles that he can get wins against to build him up to the next level. They're going to have him win a battle royal or, I don't know, a number one contender tournament of some sort in order to get him to that level. But in order to really be taken as a threat to a guy like Swerve, man, you got to get some signature wins to justify him being there. Nick says AEW needs to hop on the streaming subscription train ASAP. Seems like that's going to be what they're trying to do with this latest TV deal. Apparently Max is interested, or the rumor is Max has been interested in bringing AEW premium live pay-per-views. At that point, you think they're going to call them premium live events if they're just on Max? I don't know. They're going to be bringing those to the streaming service. I don't know if you're going to have to pay extra for these things or not. It'll be interesting to see if they have a similar deal like Peacock has, where you just have Max and you get the pay-per-views. If they're going to take more of a WWE approach where they're shorter pay-per-views, shorter premium live events, because you're only paying that $15 a month or whatever Max is, be interested to see if they change their philosophy. I suspect they won't. Tony Khan seems to just like putting on these long-ass pay-per-views where you just get a ton of matches. Hey, that's not necessarily my favorite way to go about things, but I know there's a market for that because people continue to put in money for these big pay-per-views. Fazzy Wazzy says triple main event isn't a real thing. It was cringe last night and it was cringe when WWE did it. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I agree with this. I am not a fan of calling anything a main event unless it is the final match of the show. It just feels like a consolation prize, and it's disingenuous and it's honest. The main event is the last match of a show. That's it. Point blank. That's it. Hell, I'll even give WrestleMania the 2-night thing. The main event of night one, I consider that a main event because it's the last match on that show on night one. Grim Biggie Benny says Swerve's title run, although still early, is looking like Punk's WWE title reign from 2011 to 2013 in terms of main eventing. Punk only main evented 5 pay-per-views out of the 15 that happened during his reign, whereas I don't think Swerve will hold the title as long as Punk. He's an afterthought since he's won the title. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I understand the logistics of Anarchy in the Arena, and generally speaking, Stadium Stampede and Anarchy in the Arena main event the shows they're on, although 2 years ago, Punk versus Hangman did not, but that was a Punk title win. If you want to take all that good work you did with Swerve and make it mean something now, you got to put him in the main event. Forbidden Door's coming up next. You got to think that Swerve is going to main event that. Then he got Wembley. I don't know that he's going to, because he got Will Ospreay with the International Championship. And if you're Tony Khan, I kind of feel like I'm just going to main event Swerve, and then, or main event Will Ospreay. And then at All Out, you put Swerve in the main event. That's what it's looking like they're going to do. I hope that's not the case. He's the world champion. He should be main eventing every show. But it's looking closer like it might be a Hangman Page title reign, where so far, and again, it's because they haven't really built up enough big contenders for a babyface champion, and everybody else that should be big enough is a champion. You got Edge, you got Okada. He's not going to take any losses anytime soon. You got Ospreay. He ain't going to take any losses soon. Plus, he's a good guy. But otherwise, who else is there? I guess you could do Adam Cole versus Swerve. That's sort of what I was thinking because Adam Cole's a bad guy. He's a big main event level guy. Maybe you do, well, you already did Samoa Joe, so you won the title off of. So yeah, I don't know. They have to build some people. They got to build some big bad guys for Swerve as a babyface. My hot take is Swerve should have stayed a bad guy. They should have just done bad guy versus bad guy, Swerve versus Joe. And fuck it. Let the crowd cheer him doing violent things. Let the crowd cheer him being a bad guy. Let the crowd boo the good guys. But this like sudden change in Swerve's attitude, his good guy change, I don't think it's been for the best. He was much more interesting as a bad guy. Sometimes it's more difficult being a babyface because you just can't be as interesting as if you're a bad guy. Marvell says Jane is a better entrance theme than Where Is My Mind? I agree with you, Marvell. I actually do think that Jane works better the way it intros. Dun, 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 dun. I think that works better than the Pixies. I do. I like the Pixies. I think they're good. But Jane, that sort of hits as a theme song. SCW, the wrestling channel, says Will Ospreay will not be challenging for the AEW World Championship at All In. Instead, I think we get Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the International Championship. And for the world title, we get Swerve versus Hangman one more time. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. For All In, I think they're going to do Swerve versus... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. God, Hangman, do you think... Hangman's a good name. Hangman's a good name. I think they're probably... It wouldn't surprise me if either All In or All Out was Swerve versus Jack Perry. Jack Perry seems to be the guy that's going to be built up as the guy that can take on a world title level guy, but then lose. Because he ain't going to win the title. But I think they're going to try to build him up that way. Because right now you got this sort of authority type thing with the Young Bucks and their crew versus like, guys like Danielson. Maybe they'll do Danielson versus Jack Perry. Jack Perry wins that. That gets him a title shot against Swerve. They do that in September or late August or whenever All Out, All In is. That seems to be, I kind of feel like the path right now. But again, they got to build up Jack Perry. And I like what they're doing with Jack Perry, but it's that's one of those foregone conclusion situations where it's like, you can build the guy up. Nobody can convince me he's going to win the world title. And that's what you need. You need guys that it's like, oh man, this guy could totally beat him. And that's not an easy thing to do, but you got to start somewhere. We'll end on this one. AAG 501 says, can you call the crowd Marks and then show off a Mark-ass tattoo? Man, it's a bad tattoo. It's a bad, you're exactly right. You can't go around calling people Marks and then say, hey, look, I got an AEW tattoo on my calf. On your calf? Come on, man. That's the most Mark tattoo I've ever seen. Anyways, you're not supposed to call people Marks. That's going to do it for the show, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Be sure to leave a comment if you will. Tell your friends about WrestleJuice. We see you guys around.